Welcome to Digital Architects. Today we have Cherise with us. She is a fractional CFO and she's the proud owner of Financial Fancy. Charese, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about you and your business.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me today. My business is 20 years old. It's called Financial Fancy. I am a fractional CFO, and basically, it's a fancy term for a bookkeeper and a tax professional, but with strategy. That's what makes me different. So, what I do is I combine your day to day, which is your bookkeeping, and your end goals, or whatever those goals are, and making sure that we create key performance indicators and things along the way to make sure that you're staying the course to the North Star that you want to go to for your business.
Very good. So you and I already had a conversation, right?
Yes.
And during that conversation, you mentioned that one of the things that happens often is that many entrepreneurs bring their shoe boxes full of receipts at tax time.
Yes.
Right. And that can be a huge challenge, right? So how can automation in digital tools help small businesses, right, like your clients, shift from reactive to proactive financial management? And I know this is a huge topic. It's loaded.
Right.
We have now a lot of AI things. So tell me your take on it. You know, what you're seeing is happening in this shift. And, you know, what are you doing in that regard, right?
Yeah, it is a loaded question. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I always start with what's the goal, right? Every entrepreneur is in a different space. If you're in year 0 to 5, you might not need an automation if you're only making 10 purchases a month, right? Because we got to make it make sense. Big on, as I business coach people, is quantifying the needs with meeting the needs in their business. So if you only have 10 transactions, that's not overwhelming. But now when we quantify it over a whole year, now that's 120, 20 transactions. So then that gives you kind of like a little bit of a thought process. Also, the other part is, what do you need this data for, right? A lot of beginning founders are looking for funding. So banks are asking for balance statements and profit and loss sheets. And that's something an Excel spreadsheet just cannot do, right? So one of my top two favorite automation tools are QuickBooks. I've been using QuickBooks for well over 2 decades. And my other favorite tool is FreshBooks. Now, it depends on what industry you're in. People who I find are creative, so I'm talking about my artists, maybe people who are consultants, they're just creatives in their thought processes and how they present in the world. They typically like FreshBooks. It's very user-friendly, or the interfacing is more funner, as they would say, I've heard clients say, than a QuickBooks. But QuickBooks has different features like projections and different things like that might suit you better. Now, I'm always, again, of the thought process, just because you start with something does not mean you have to finish with it. I've most definitely moved from different software. Typically, I tell people to start in Wave, which is a very low level bookkeeping system, the automation of it all. I've had clients in her. I mean, again, there's plenty of them. The thought process is, what do you need it to do? Are you also running payroll? Are you paying contractors? Are you paying yourself? And then how many transactions you have each month and things of that nature. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what software you're in, it's not going to be any better than what accounting principles. You didn't go to school for accounting like me. You still need to have a conversation with a bookkeeper because they need to set up some of the back end stuff that you're probably not even aware of, like customizing what we call your chart of accounts. Your chart of accounts are all of the accounts that you categorize the different things that happen in your business in. So if I actually just set up a client's chart of accounts, and he's in the trucking industry. So there were some things I added to, fuel reimbursement that is specific for his industry, right? I had a client who's a hairdresser. We put in different lines for the products that she buys. So when she looks at because the question is, what story do you want your profit and loss to say to you? Those numbers are telling you a story. How do you want that story to present as an entrepreneur so that you can understand what's happening so you can make real life decisions in the moment?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can tell you I'm a QuickBook user. I don't know much about it. I know how to enter certain things into it, but otherwise I'm lost in all of the,
So we need to do a session.
A long time ago, I know I tried FreshBooks.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the name, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it was like a quick in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm familiar with the names, but definitely
Mm-hmm.
QuickBooks is the one that resonates. And I think that that goes for a lot of people, right? Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
popular. So let's move into money meets marketing because I'm in marketing.
Right.
And that is one big challenge for small businesses, right? And part of that challenge comes financially, right? So, how can small business owners align their financial planning with their marketing efforts,
Mm-hmm.
especially when budgeting for digital campaigns, ad campaigns, or content creation, social media, all that stuff that small businesses know they have to do, but they rarely make the room for it. Also, it's not just financially, but it's also time wise, right? Like, they know
Right.
they need it, but they don't allocate the funds, but
Right.
they also don't have the time to do it. So it's
Right.
like always battling, that battle between time and money.
No, that's a really good question. And for me, budgeting is that's a core value here. So making sure that you again, what's the end goal, right? And when you're a new entrepreneur, it's kind of hard to have an idea of what that looks like because you're so new. But once you've been in business for 2, 3 plus years, once you've been in the second year, you have now enough historical data to really do some pivoting, some damage control, or push the pedal even harder in whatever that you're doing if it's resonating with your target audience, right? So I think the first thing is being very clear about what the platforms do. Something that I stopped doing in my own marketing is saying the same thing everywhere. Pinterest is not LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not TikTok. TikTok is not Instagram. Instagram is not Facebook, and whatever social medias. And once you start changing what your messaging is, the what you're saying is not going to change. How you deliver it's going to be different. So when the way you show up, I always tell people to go with the expectation to spend at least 10% of whatever their income is. So if you make $1,000, putting aside $100 for marketing, right? And the other
Okay.
part is, again, once you have historical data, you can actually, I've coined the term make money on demand. Once you know this keyword conversion, your conversion
Mm-hmm.
rate for your audience, now you don't feel like you're just throwing money in the wind. And I think probably the worst thing people do is when they don't get with a specialist like you to explain to them what their audience wants and helps them to dig deeper into their analytics, it can feel very daunting knowing that you spent $100 every month and you not seeing the end results. But if you got with a specialist like yourself and you're like, hey, people are really finding you on Pinterest. That's where people, but you're dumping money on Meta. Now you're making it make sense, right? And that's something that I also do with my clients. Again, that strategy piece. Like, okay, you ran an ad. What was the feedback? Because I think that's probably the thing that most entrepreneurs don't do. We execute on the things. Most entrepreneurs don't have a problem executing. It's that follow up where we start dropping the ball. And I'm even guilty of it. I get excited. One, I don't, again, I'm going to use that word again, quantify success, right? I had a client, I always set, when I do coaching clients, I always start with ground zero. Right. So we look
Okay.
at their analytics. We have to assess where we are because what will happen is sometimes people will discredit both of us, our professions, like nothing happened. Whereas the things are saying, like, no, when we first started, you didn't have no views. And now we
Mm-hmm.
kind of tweaked a couple things, and especially if you're getting started, I'm just like throw spaghetti at the wall everywhere. Let's see what
Mm-hmm.
sticks, and then we can figure out how to simulate that over and over again with what resonates with your customers. And now we can put some back behind it, those dollars, right? Because organic is
Right.
great, paid is better. Because the truth of the matter
It's
is,
true.
the way that the
A
algorithm,
hundred
especially
percent.
yeah, especially now, even the people who I've been noticing, people that because I'm getting a lot of ads. Even the people I follow, I don't follow. I may follow a couple hundred people, but I maybe see 10% of them,
Right.
if that, on a regular basis. Because especially in Instagram, it shows you the people you see often that you engage with. So I try to be more or intentional to go to pages that I know I follow and I want to see, and I'm like, I haven't seen this person in a while. Let me go to their page, like a couple things, get it back in my algorithm. And I don't know if everybody does that, but it's a thought
It's
process. But
This actually, I just did it. I just did it with both my Instagram and my TikTok. Right? Because you know how it goes. You watch one video and then it feeds you a bunch of the same.
right,
So then you have to go back and kind of retrain it and
Mhm.
tell it, hey, I want more of this, not of this. This was a one-off.
Right.
This is my vertical. I don't
Right.
want as much of
Right. Right.
these,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you'll
Because
be
I
on the other
had,
side of
you know,
TikTok and you don't even know it.
a friend of yours shares a video with you. I don't know. I'm just gonna go. It's just like American Got Talent, right? And then all of this, on all the videos you're watching are American
Yeah.
Got Talent or singing or And I'm like, no, no, no. Get me back to like my
Right.
marketing videos, right?
Right.
Like my
Right.
my automation videos, like the stuff I usually watch because now I'm
Right.
not seeing any of it. And
Right.
you know what? And it happens with ads too. I mean, if you watch one ad, then it will show you, like, even if it's like a one off, then
Mhm.
everything you get, it's related to that ad. It's
Right.
your feed, your ad. So definitely, you're
Right.
absolutely correct. You have to, even as a user, go back and retrain the
Mhm.
platforms to show you what you want to see, not what they want you to see, right?
Right. Right.
And as a business, you have to be mindful of that too, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, what interesting when you were talking about budget, you mentioned paid is always better.
It is.
But I'm gonna ask another question here.
Okay.
Why would you tell them paid is always better?
Because it's
I have my
targeted.
take on it, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, for me, my paid always it's targeted, right? Even in
Yeah,
every platform, you can give location, age, gender. You now I get to customize.
demographics, all of
Oh
it.
yeah, who gets to engage by my own analytics? I'm not just dropping this out.
Hmm.
Now back in the day, before I understood all the logistics of the marketing part on the back end, it was nothing for me to boost a post, for $20, but was it really seeing the people who I wanted to see it? And also, like you said, sometimes people will see your stuff on a one off and then you start getting trolls. So it can go either way. So the thought
Yeah,
process really is, how are we being more strategic? For me, the best way is when you can combine the two. If something organically is
clicking.
getting some steam and putting money behind it, that's the best piece together.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so for me, is it's a balance. I've always explained it as a balance. Yes, you want to have the organic piece, but the organic piece always takes longer, right? It's just a longer process.
Mm-hmm.
We talk organic is usually SEO. SEO, it's a longer process. It's always competitive, right? Because everybody's trying to achieve the same thing, right? To be on that first page, the first results, but especially that first page. Well, with ads, it's quick return, right? You're on that first page right away, right?
Right.
You might not always be on it, depends on your budget, but you're guaranteeing that you're going to show up more frequently.
Yeah.
So for me, the answer is, it's just, the return on paid, it's much faster. So if what you're looking for it's quick return on that investment, then
Right.
definitely paid. Do
Right.
not leave your organic behind, because that's always going to be there, right, to kind of back up your paid. But it's going to be always a faster return on investment with pay. So back to the financial side of things, a lot of, in my experience, a lot of business kind of neglect that part
Most definitely.
of marketing, right? So I'm just going to do it all organic. I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to do it all, referrals organic. I don't want to spend the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is an important, because like your competitors are spending the money.
Mm-hmm.
Your big competitors, especially,
Right.
right? So they're getting all those eyeballs.
The other
Right.
thought process is, again, what's the goal? I had a client, the North Star was always to increase online sales.
Right.
Maybe a year and a half later, the client got a brick and mortar.
All
Well,
right.
the money that could have been used for marketing was now covering rent,
Yep.
payroll, all the things that takes what a storefront. My friend said a
Yeah.
storefront is basically the Rolls Royce of entrepreneurship. Being,
Yep.
having a physical location kind of gives off like an I've arrived kind of moment, when truly the goal was always to grow online. Now, did the client get a couple of new client, new foot traffic, especially specifically because where they were? Yeah, but they didn't stop doing what it didn't increase the business enough where maybe it could have just been a pop-up or something else
It
that is
didn't
committing
contribute.
for years of this now lease.
Sounds like it didn't contribute to the main goal, which was to increase their online
And that's the point, right?
sales.
So the other thing too is if you're a product based business, you're doing one to many, right?
Yes.
You're trying to sell to a whole bunch of people. You got to run ads. There's no
Right.
because you're now you're relying on the proximity of where you are because
Hmm.
no one. If I'm in Virginia, people in California don't know who I am. You gotta put something behind that. And also the other part is now, even if you're selling something and it's a high ticket price item, you probably go more organic and catch a couple people. But the other part is people are saying they want something, but they're not doing the thing that they need to do it. So if you're saying, okay, I want organic, but you're not networking, then what are we talking about? And I guess for me, I'm kind of a tongue in cheek kind of coach as well. As you can tell, like I just, I'm here to hold you accountable, but also I'm just like, you're saying this is what your goal is. What are we doing about that? How are you quantifying that? Because you can't say, but because the other part is, okay, let's say you're like, well, Cherise, I'm an introvert. I get it. Then why aren't you going live by yourself in your own home on social media? You don't got to talk to people when they pop up. Just talk to the camera. Like, again, you can't be counterproductive. You can't say you want something and you're not doing. I'm also very A type too. Like, I don't do very well when people are like, "Oh, I want this thing," and then months from now, they're still saying they want to do. Years from they still want to do the thing, and I'm just like, "Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?"
Right.
Yeah, I get sick of myself, baby. I've been trying to lose the same 50 pounds off and on, lost again. I get it, but I'm not. I no longer express my discomfort of it anymore because I'm just like, okay, what you gonna do about it, Charisse? What are we gonna lose it or are we not? What are we doing now? Of course, things are happening. Like I'm in perimenopause and age and all the other stuff, but I'm still not doing what I can at 100% to being like, okay, it's this, it's not me. I'm always the problem. I've been the problem, and I've come to terms with that. And now I'm trying. Now, not trying. I am taking steps for a solution to the thing that I say that is my North Star.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's switch it a little bit because I know when we were talking before, you mentioned that there is one big struggle that entrepreneurs often, come across, and that's their process of knowing when and how to hire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I know that struggle probably
Mm-hmm.
better than most people. What's your advice, again, from the financial side of things, but as well, as a business entrepreneur yourself, what's your advice for the businesses concerning fractional support, CFO, CMO, or even AI powered assistants, or all the stuff that we're hearing about nowadays?
We love a good SaaS, baby. I have a whole bunch of, and if you don't know what SaaS is, systems as a service. So,
Yep.
Honeybooks is my CRM system and it puts out, okay. And now that they have the AI feature where I've been able to increase my conversion rate by an additional 15% because once someone does an inquiry, I have a funnel that they go through, but it also has like a follow up email where it just makes it for me based on the questions that I've made out the prompts, right? So it's customized to the person, but still made out with, what I've put in. I'm able to respond to them quicker and they end up onboarding with me quicker and more seamlessly because of just that easy feature. Really the first thought process is I don't even want you to get too overwhelmed. I want you to sit with yourself and say, what do I do good and what don't I do good? And what do I don't do? And what do I do not so well? Right. And I know a lot of people put finances in a box, but the thought process is, okay, being okay with creating what your expectations are, so you need to measure your own expectations. So then when you're asking of someone to be on the team, that what you're going to get out of them. Because I have some clients who are high touch. I see them every 2 weeks. I have some clients I see once a month. And you really have, but the entrepreneur themselves have to know themselves, right? And also know that the more high touch you are, the more premium the price is probably going to be because now you're asking more of the contractor as well
Yeah.
and of the ask. So also depending on how frequently your business moves. I have the retail client that I have. A retail, it's like this, right? Especially during
Hmm.
Black Friday, right? So we meet once a week.
Oh, huge.
Right. If we need to pivot right now from what happened last week, we need to do it on the fly. And then, so it's really a thought process. So what's your ask? and being clear about what the deliverables that you need in your business to be able to make decisions. Because very much like I say, I'm a fractional CFO. People are like, oh, I just need a bookkeeper. Well, if you get a bookkeeper, she's only going to balance your books. She's not going to tell you what the numbers are doing. She might not, just because someone does bookkeeping doesn't mean that they know strategy. Anybody can do bookkeeping. A lot of people can be self-taught. But again, you're only as good a bookkeeper as you know accounting principles. Just like your marketing. People are like, oh, I'm going to hire a marketing manager. Well, does that mean that they're creating the content? Or are they just managing the marketing? What are we asking? What are we asking them for? What is the deliverables, right? Because some people get frustrated and they're like I have an assistant. She posts my content. Okay. I have a content manager. She takes the videography and photography and puts together the actual content to be posted as well. When I do vlogs, when I do speaking engagements. So again, what's the ask? Those two people together, right? Could I get a CMO and could possibly I have them now make the content but CMOs typically are around strategy. Now you might find some who do make the content and also makes the strategy and can post it, so I mean as a thought process, do you want an OBM, which is an office business manager, or do you need an executive assistant? What's the ask? So that you know
what's the difference, right?
There's a difference.
Many people don't even know the difference, right?
Right. You got to know
it's
the difference.
Same thing as with marketing, right? And with marketing, that's often like marketing manager could mean two different things, right? Depends on what you're asking for, right? The marketing manager could be the person managing the marketing team, but it could also be the person managing the marketing effort themselves and posting and doing that. But the meaning changes. And in marketing, you're absolutely correct. The CMO is the strategic thinker, while so in our company, I'm the CMO, but I don't do execution. My team, my agency takes care of all that execution, putting all the campaigns in place. But we're strategic about it because we're constantly meeting, like you said, meeting with the client, walking through it. And we, just like you, it's funny, it's a different kind of needs, but similar situations, right? We have different clients that have different needs. With some, we meet more regularly than with others. And with some, we need that quick, turnaround, right? Where things change week to week. With others, it's a steady go and you don't have to really do a lot of managing. But it all comes to budget, right? Because like you said, if you want that hand holding week to week, the budget is gotta be higher. And if you want the easy relax, then you don't need to put much into it, right? All right. So during our conversation, you've talked a little bit about your content strategy, right? And I want to go there because when you and I talked, and you actually mentioned it earlier, you pointed out the different requirements from platform to platform, right? And different type of content. And I know you have a team. You no longer take care of any of that. So I think it's interesting. How do you and your team decide what to post and where? And how can business owners apply that thinking without getting overwhelmed? And the reality is, it is overwhelming, right? We do content. And we know that the requirements change the point of views, right? I can't expect the same from LinkedIn as I do from Meta or TikTok, right? So it is overwhelming. And if, I think for most business owners, they want to do what they love doing. And for a lot of them, it's not posting or creating content, right? So, go ahead.
I think that, okay, so I'll break it down this way. I ultimately make the call, okay? And because I am a forever student, and this is my business, very heavy on the although I have a team.
Agree.
I still call the shot. And something I learned very early it's one of the reasons why I brought them on is because I recognized that I needed more hands on the ground. That doesn't mean that I don't know what the vision is. So one thing that Now, I am on all platforms. I wouldn't suggest that as someone who begins. And actually, I have thought about and done it before, and I think I will get off Facebook at the end of the year. It just does not bring me any clients. I'm really just reposting what I put on Instagram by the nature of how you can post there
Both.
simultaneously. But if you sit down and actually broke
Where are
down
you
what
getting most of your customers from? Which platform?
LinkedIn,
It is LinkedIn. Okay.
yeah, I get most of my clients from LinkedIn, and I'd say Instagram, LinkedIn and Instagram. TikTok is
Okay.
on the tick, but I wasn't using it the way I needed to because I had to sit back and say, TikTok is a yapper app. And what I mean by that is like talking, right? Like a lot of people just sit there and just talk to the camera and they engage or they don't. And it used to be a dance app. I really don't think it's really much of a dance app anymore, but people just yap on there. The other thing is when you start identifying which app is, okay, Pinterest for interest. Pinterest is a place where I get a lot of hits for my freebies or my monthly
Mm-hmm.
freebies that I put on my website. So I also post my podcast and the freebies there and sometimes some other material, but people like to click on stuff to read. So if you do blogs, that Pinterest is your place, right? Instagram, Facebook, it's informational. I mean, you could do reels or carousels, different things like that, and figure out what hits with your audience. Going live, I love going live there, and then
Instagram? Go live in Instagram? You go live in Instagram.
yeah, live on Instagram, yes,
You
and
get
then
usually a lot of engagement?
because my prior marketing manager, this has been some years ago, he told me when you go live, don't save all of them. He's like, because what happens is people are like, I can't watch it right now, but I'll watch it later. Then when they go back to see the live watch later, and they're like, oh, it's not there. Yeah, because you got to be present right now. So I've
Okay.
found different mechanisms to draw attention to me. I also have
That's
a
great
YouTube.
advice, actually.
Yeah, YouTube is nothing but my long content and then chopped up into smaller content that's put on the Instagram, the Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So
We do the
really,
same.
am I making more content? Not really.
No,
um
you're reusing it smartly.
Right, absolutely. And then yeah, so I mean, first identify what each platform does, and then identify where your customers are. Stop trying to post somewhere where your customers aren't. If you're someone who sells on Etsy, it'd probably be a good idea for you to be on Pinterest because you could set up a storefront, right? I don't know if Facebook would translate that way, right? If you're a consultant, you probably need to be talking live be on the Yapper app. You need to be on TikTok going live, and now you don't even have to have 1,000 followers to go live. You can go live whenever. So again, where's your target audience? And that's the part
Wait, wait,
entrepreneurs.
wait. Do you go live on TikTok as well?
No,
Or
I've never
just
gone live on
Instagram?
TikTok, but it is on my agenda for Q3.
Okay.
Is because the truth of the matter is I'm a yapper. That's why when you said you want to be on the podcast, I said absolutely. The crazy part is I love doing podcasts, but like talking to the camera is a whole nother conversation. And I have a
I
podcast.
know.
And
I
I
said
think
this to you. I
yes.
think I said it when we first met, right? I said I love the podcasting because I am 100% far more comfortable doing this than just yapping to a camera.
Right. And I
And
think it's the preparation
it's just weird.
part.
I think you just need that mental preparation to just be
Right.
able to let
Right.
loose when the camera goes
Right.
on.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But this is I don't know, for me, this is always easier, right? Like I
Right.
love having these conversations, right?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, so once you identify your target audience with what platform aligns with where they are, then take the training wheels off and go stream forward, right? And again, throw the noodles at the wall and see what sticks. And then, then you can rinse, recycle, repeat. And then that gets you to having enough historical data. So then now you can you to do the marketing and get some paid advertisements, right? So you get to come with some grit, so that you can really, if your end goal is to touch 1 million
But
lives, we can go forward with what we have.
also, you can also get people like us to
Mm-hmm.
help you figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people think it's completely unaffordable, but you'll
Mm-hmm.
be surprised, that's not always the case. Just depends on where you go for
Unaffordable
that
next
advice.
to what? You not hitting your financial revenue goals? What are we talking about?
I know, right? So, but that's just it, right? Like ask for help and then figure out,
Right.
you know, how much of it you can afford. I think it's
Right.
the right way of putting it, right? Like you
It's
don't
an
have to
investment
start
that
with
you
the
need.
Rolls
Yeah.
Royce, right? You
Right.
can start with with the Corolla and then move up
Right.
until you get to the Rolls Royce, right?
Right.
But people kind of assume, oh, that's the Rolls Royce, so I can't
Right,
afford it. I'm
right.
not even gonna ask, right? So you can always ask. I
Marketing is
encourage you
just
to
like
ask.
yes, marketing's just like professional development. I set aside $25,000 this year for personal development because I'm a
Good for
business coach.
you.
Thank you. And the thing is, I can't business coach people if I don't know what's not necessarily what's the new thing, but learning new techniques. I meet different people and they need a different version of me to be able to coach them through what they're going through in their business. And I get the top coaches. These people, they ain't cheap, okay?
No,
The
coaching
other
is not cheap.
yeah, coaching coaching is not cheap. I'm actually going to California to meet Rachel Rogers
Okay,
in 2 weeks. Yeah, and I'm so ecstatic to
nice.
go there. And something that continues to resonate with me is I'm not saying you need to have a budget every month, but again, what do you do? What is this North Star and what's the end goal? If you sell products, I gave a presentation in North Carolina just a couple weeks ago, and I said if you hadn't thought about Black Friday to this day, you pinky promised me you gonna have that campaign put together. I said, because you know what's a good thing to do? They do Christmas in July.
Yep.
Anything you want to experiment on in your marketing, whatever, do that then. See what hits. So then you can rinse, recycle, and because this is the point. You're trying to figure out what resonates with your customer. You're trying to figure out what your secret sauce is, and you're not going to figure it out if you don't try something. So I want to do a trial, a A/B test, do a
Mm-hmm.
trial, whatever it
Yep.
hits for Christmas in July. Now I find a you help me when Black Friday comes. And now let's double down on it, on the product, the item, the commercial, whatever resonates with people, and make even more money. Because that's the other point. I can quantify my return on investment with a client if they work with me. I'm going to find you at least 30% of deductions, things that you've missed. I can quantify how much I'm worth. I can quantify how much you're worth. If I come
Mm-hmm.
in with enough data to help you be dangerous so that I can get to the goals. If I say I want to get 1,000 members in my Unaesthetic Entrepreneur Academy, I have this many people. I haven't even made any organic. I have an Instagram for it, but I haven't like made an intentional commercial or like letting people know. Now I've let people know on my email list, and I tell you, okay, so that's the goal. And you're like, oh, great, Cherise, we need to have 15,000 people come across your stuff, and if your conversion rate's 10%, we think that you could get that within 90 days. Then you're like, great. Then whatever your cost is, because I'm a transparent person. Okay, the membership is $24.99. If I once I get 1,000 members, that's $249,000. That's 24,900 a month. So let's round up to
Yeah.
$25,000. If you charge me $2,000 and you say you can do that in 3 months, that's $6,000. Make it make sense up here. And I know this is the part because people are like, oh, I don't do numbers, I don't like math. You can't be an entrepreneur and not like math.
Or at least understand the math a
At
little
least
bit.
understand it, right? Because the
Yeah, yeah.
numbers come in analytics in your marketing. Numbers come up in how you make your money, how you spend your money, how you invest, what's your return on investment. All of these vernacular words tie together to numbers. You got to know them. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of entrepreneurship. And the truth of the matter is that I hate to step on any toes is I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. Only 7 of those 20 years have I been full-time. And the years that I really stuck my toes in the ground is when I got really granular about my goals and how I was obtaining them step by step. And what you will find is either you're like, this entrepreneurship ain't for me, and that's okay. Or maybe you're like, I just want to be a part-time entrepreneur. Or this is actually just a hobby. I just want to be I just want this to be fun. I don't want to have to look at analytics. I don't want to have to worry about, and it's okay. I said all that to say it's okay. Whatever it is for you, but be very clear. If you're trying to be 100% entrepreneur, doing this work, it's got to get done. You're not gonna be. I said I have a lot of big goals. I want to be a millionaire. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the day-to-day stuff that I've been doing ain't gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it. I say I make easy money because there's always people who need their taxes done. Once COVID hit, helping people with PPP loans and helping them put together financials for funding and stuff, baby, I'll always have I'll have 2 to 5 clients a week inquiring about my services. That's not I ain't never going out of business. Knock on wood. Okay. I hate not
Mm-hmm.
trying to jinx myself. But the truth of the matter is, to get to this next goal requires a different way I show up. Very much like I said, I gotta go for 1,000 members. I'm thinking through what it looks like. Do I run a Black Friday sale? How long is it going to take me to get to this goal? All the, I'm thinking all of these
All the
things daily
extra stuff.
out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. How am I going to get there faster than with 2 clients every week? Right.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it gives it that grit in you, and being an entrepreneur, it's required,
Mm-hmm.
to
A hundred
agitate,
percent.
the thought process. Again, not feeling like you need to have burnout or that you need to be everywhere, but again, quantifying where your customers are and what platforms you need to be on, or if you do need a me or a you, and even again, not maybe hiring on full time, but again, just doing an intro call or just paying you a 2 hour fee, whatever, because I bet you any conversation someone has with you, they walk away with oh, she knows what she's talking about. Oh, implement it and be able to see a return on investment. And it really, the thought process, sometimes you just got to make people believers. You got to bring the receipts.
Mm-hmm.
And I got
Yeah.
receipts for days.
Agreed. I'm sure. I'm
I've
sure.
only been in
I'm
business for
sure.
20 years. I'm just saying.
So listen, you built your business around educating entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how can service-based businesses use digital content? We talked a little bit about it, but let's touch in content like short videos, blog posts. Do you use blogs? You talked about the automations, right? To better educate and convert their own audiences, right?
Yes. So recently, probably in the last, let's say 3 months, I've been really adamant with my content manager for her to come to speaking engagements. And what she does is, again, it's crazy because talking live is just, I'm trying to be a yapper on TikTok. And y'all probably like, I don't believe you, Cherise, because you yapping on here. But
Oh no, I believe you.
yes, but taking those sound bites and using them as shorts on YouTube, in conjunction to the longer video, the vlog and stuff like that. So using that, and in addition to that, what I use is an app called Opius Clips. So if
Yep.
she gives me my client, she gives me at least 3 videos for me to post on shorts, but I put the whole vlog that she gives me on Opius Clips, and then it gives me additional at least 15 to 20
Right.
more clips, and it rates it by engagement of what it thinks that it'll engage. And I've been getting, as of recently, since I've been starting to do it, and you can also schedule it onto your social media platforms, and it gives you captions and hashtags. Okay.
Right.
So I do that, and it makes my life so much easier. I have content scheduled until July.
That's great.
And this weekend, I will do that another month's worth of content. Then I'll have content until August. And August is my birthday, and I don't work at all for the month of August. So really,
Oh,
the
look
thought,
at you take a whole month off.
I take the whole month off. It's my birthday. So, and I said that though is because it's part of the planning part of the way my brain thinks.
Mm-hmm.
So big picture, and also it's around a time that's not busy. I didn't finish tax season, all the things. So really the thought process is the execution of it all. So again, if you like short forms or vlogs, think about long form content. Use an AI like a Opius Clips, or I use Cast Magic.
Yeah.
Even
We use
Riverside. Yeah,
Riverside.
Riverside
Yeah,
has
we would use
used,
them.
it's got more upgrades. Now you can do the baby faces on there. It's all kinds of stuff
Oh, I
on
haven't
here.
tried that yet.
Oh, it sent me a sample of one of the videos I had uploaded, and I was
I
like,
haven't.
okay. But
Now I'm interested.
yes, but again, think what's your North Star, and
Yep.
then make the big content. Also, batching your stuff. Like Monday's an admin day. Today I'm in makeup, so I'm gonna meet people, shake hands, kiss babies, all the things. And don't, because you overwork yourself when you fail to have some kind of structure of your
You
planning
fail to plan, you plan to fail.
part.
Just like that.
Perfectly.
I have a question for you actually, because I know
Okay.
you talked about your podcast.
Okay.
So you do your own podcast.
I do.
It is not the same format as what we're doing right now. Yours is more of yourself talking,
Yes.
right? So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How big is your podcast? But more importantly, do you advertise your podcast?
Yes, I do. Most definitely advertise it. And when you say how big, you mean how big is my audience?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's a good question. We can look real fast.
Can look
I
real
want to
fast.
say I have maybe, I know for sure I have over 1,000
Okay,
people.
do you so you said yes to advertising, right? How do you advertise
Do.
your podcast?
So I take snippets of the podcast, and then also just reminding people. Always, you always have to have the call to action, reminding people, hey, a podcast drops every Sunday at 8 o'clock. So it's just a
Okay.
warm up. It's just very simple. I probably don't give as much care for the
You don't
podcast.
paid for advertising for the podcast,
No,
right?
so okay,
No, it's
so
just
that's a good.
organic.
Yeah, so also I am what I call the weaver. When I help people make their money mapping for their business, I'm always of the thought process to layering things that make money for you. And what I mean by that is all the ads that I have are affiliate links from things that either I have partnerships with or some kind of code where I get a kickback. So the
Oh,
ads are all internal of my own anyway. So the thought process is the money's making money for me. And then, of course, once you get so many followers, you get to monetize your podcast. So that's another thing.
oh, okay. There you are. I think we lost you for just a couple of seconds. Can you hear me?
No worries. Yes.
Okay. So let's go back and talk podcast, right? Hold on.
Yes.
Because now my screen just reset too. Goodness.
Well, maybe
Everything
your
lost
internet went
connection.
out.
My internet went out for like a few seconds.
Got it.
Technology. There you are. Okay, there we go.
Right.
So let's go back to the podcast. So we
Right.
were at the so let's go back to I'm gonna ask you again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you advertise your podcast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
so I
Paid
do
advertise.
advertise.
Do you
So
pay
okay,
for
so
advertisement?
no, I don't pay for advertisements. So I'm what I call the weaver. So all of my ads are either partnerships or affiliate links that make me money. So the thought
Okay.
process is if someone clicks on the show notes or something, or they purchase something, then it always leads back to me. So that's what I mean when I say I'm the weaver. So the podcast is the one, but I'm weaving ways of I make money as well. I have in the past given out, had like $25 ad spots for like people who want to run Black Friday sales and things. But I don't think that the
Right.
podcast is at a space. It's probably best for more local people, but someone who's like all over. But I'm open to getting a content deal or some sort of brand deal of some sort. So but and then I'm also advertising all the things that I love anyway. So I mean, it's not like I'm saying it because I want to make the money. I'm saying it because I actually really like this product and I think you should be using it too.
Very good. So I'm going to
Yeah.
jump to my last question because this one is always a fun one. So
Yeah.
the AI factor, right?
Mhm.
So we talked about tools, automations, marketing. Now with the all the boom of AI and AI tools in both finance and marketing, what opportunities or red flags, honestly, should small businesses be aware when adopting automations to streamline their operations? And that includes financials, marketing, we talk hiring, all that stuff.
Yeah. So one, I mean, your information is proprietary. So I would make sure like you're not uploading your profit and loss sheet into ChatGPT, right?
That's great
Maybe
advice.
right. Yeah. don't be dropping your information into it.
Go use Google
Right. Yeah.
Notebook LM.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
private.
I
Don't
mean,
do it
listen.
in ChatGPT.
Right. Now, I just put together my first mastermind. So I did ask ChatGPT, hey, I want my net. I want to profit this amount of money. This is how many people can be there. This is how much it costs for me for all the items for the event, right? And it gave me back the information. So again, the best way to use AI is to give it as much information as possible to give you the best outcome, but also making sure that you're not putting anything that's distinguishing who you are either. So again, what's the end goal of why you're using it? Well, I'm always going to quantify that part. Also, another red flag is what it's offering. I have purchased a couple of AI marketing stuff and then I got bots signing up for my email list. And the reason how I knew is because now remember how I said a lot of entrepreneurs know how to execute, but they don't follow up. How long, if I wasn't on top of following up, would I have been not noticing? Because when you get bounce backs, that's bad on your email
Yep.
app that you're using. if I didn't like go back and look. So I took those people off and I noticed all of those emails were from this particular marketing thing that I use. So I mean, just being forward facing and,
Mindful.
you know, mindful, intentional, following up to see if things work, being okay to lose $20, $25 here and there. You know, again, you learned the lesson, but at least you didn't spend $1,000. You
Mm-hmm.
know, start small a little bit, see what it does, quantify it, and then you can move forward and go bigger. You know, you can always be small and go big, but you can't go big and go small. I mean, it's just what's done is done. So yeah, those are probably the biggest red flags. Just making sure that you're getting what you intended for when you're using different AIs to streamline your operations in your business.
What are your favorite AI tools right now?
Ooh,
Aside
okay.
from ChatGPT, because we all use it.
Obvious clips. Honeybooks has an AI feature.
Okay.
Cast Magic, Gemini. It's a note taker
Mm-hmm.
in Google. Those are probably those ones I'm using on a regular basis. I'm
Okay.
also the thought process. All I used to be like shiny object and be let's go try something new. When I'm already using what I have and perfecting how I use it, like now when I use Chat GPT, I'd be like, make me a business plan. Now I'm like, hey, I need a business. Give me a template, right? I don't want to give me a template of a business plan for an entrepreneur in year zero, wanting the projections to be
Blah, blah,
50,000,
blah.
you know,
All
say
that's,
more
yeah.
information, right? To give me some real good information back, right? And start tweaking it from there. Because again, you know, you have to learn the materials. I do plan in the future in my next personal development, taking an AI class to learn more because it's always changing. And I've also come to a place of being okay with that. I'm a geriatric millennial. And I mean, it was years before I was like, I'm not downloading TikTok. I was like, I'm not downloading another app on my phone. And here I am on the Yapper app and kicking my feet in the air,
I
right?
love how you call it the Yapper app.
Because it
It
is.
it is, but
Yes.
that's not the name, but it is funny because we
Right.
understand
Yeah,
that
you
that's
know
what
what
it
app
is.
I'm talking about, right? Yeah, so being okay with it, and also just again being that forever student, so being okay with the changes as they happen and adjusting as I need to, and being okay if I get behind because it's a lot of information to reconcile with yourself on a day-to-day basis. Like, is the algorithm going to pick up what I put out? And once you figure out your secret sauce, when it stops working, you have to
Yeah,
pivot. It's probably, you know, but
agree.
it's the nature of the journey of entrepreneurship, and that is what makes me excited every morning.
Well, it was fantastic having you here with us today. Thank you for coming on our
Thank
show,
you for having me.
and spending 50 some minutes with us, giving great advice. Because honestly, I think we all need it. I think financials is one of those things that entrepreneurs, business owners are always pretty afraid of.
Mhm.
I think most of us procrastinate on it because we're so reluctant to look at it,
We do, we do.
right? So great advice. Thank you for all of it. Thank you for your time. And honestly, I look forward to having another conversation with you, hopefully sometime in
Absolutely.
the future. See where you're
Yes.
at and what new things you're trying and what new advice you can bring to the table.
Love
Thank
it.
you again.
Thank you.
You have a great rest of your day and we'll talk soon.
All right, you do the same.
All right. So that's the end of the show.
Fantastic.
We run a little bit longer than I expected. Okay, let's leave that alone for now. So that was awesome. Thank you. I think
Yes,
it was a
thank you.
really good, useful conversation. Actually, I'm gonna say that's probably one of the better recordings I've had in terms of like the substance of the talk. It's pretty good. You're easy to
Yeah, I'm
talk
not
to.
sure.
So
I'm not your daddy's accountant. I'm
no,
sassy.
no, you're
Yes.
right. It's rare because usually accountants are not.
Yeah, you know,
What's
they
the
get a
best
bad
way
rap.
of putting it? No, actually, I wasn't gonna say that. It's just accountants are usually like really serious, really.
I am serious. You saw how
No,
I get
but they're
stern about some things, but yeah, I get what you're
yes,
saying.
no, but I mean serious, but and not friendly. You could
Oh,
be
okay.
serious and friendly, right?
Not friendly part. Okay, no, I'm most definitely friendly.
Yeah, so that I think that's the difference, right? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna tell you. I recently changed my accountant for two reasons. One, my other accountant was a complete, he was good, but he was not a nice person.
Okay.
So you knew once a year you had to go there and give him your stuff and put up with the attitude. He was also very dirty. Like, I'm seriously telling you, I was reluctant to go, not just for the attitude, but because I knew it was gonna, not be a fun meeting. So anyway, so after doing it with him for quite a few years, I just finally said to my husband, I'm like, I finally incorporated my company. I want a different accounting person that I can like feel comfortable talking to. It's
Right.
not easy, right? Like, and it's also like it's sensitive topics, right? Like you're talking money, finances, your company, your
Right.
personal taxes, all of it. And if that person is not giving you that comfort, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like if you were in Canada, I would 100% use you,
No.
right? But I
You
mean,
can
I'm
do
telling
it.
you because
I can. I have one other client in Canada.
I can tell you because you will make that conversation
Hmm.
easy. Even if it's a hard conversation to have,
Right.
you will make it easy. Well, not everybody can do that, right? So
Right.
that's what I mean, right? So no, from that point of view, I think you make it easy to talk and
No.
kind
Well,
of
thank
have that
you.
conversation. So that's good, awesome. And other than that, like at the end of the recording, I always go through three things. One is as soon we'll start the post production as soon as we have the recording uploaded and fixed. We'll send you links so you can also post from it. We'll send you the links to YouTube and the podcast postings. I'll also try and include the actual links to the Riverside studio so you can grab clips from there
Okay.
and stuff.
Great.
We'll tag you. I sent you a friend request so we can tag you in our posts when we start posting from this podcast.
Hmm.
So you'll see some posts. We'll mention it whenever we start posting. From here. Last second question is, you have your marketing stuff all done and that's great. Is there anything, not just marketing, that we can do for you? Obviously if we can, we most definitely will. But if there's anything that we can help you with, advice, help, feel free to tell me. And lastly, and that's an open question, if we're serious, right? Like this is a partnership usually. So if there is anything I can do for you, I'd be happy to try and help. Whether that comes from marketing or other things, just just know that I'll be happy to help if I can. And lastly, I'm in marketing. We talked about it. So if you know of anybody, whether it's as a partnership, somebody that want to come into the podcast to record and have these same conversations with us, or whether they need marketing help, I would very much appreciate it. The referrals for the podcast of course will be fantastic because we're always looking for new guests to come and talk to us. So if you can think of any business owners or people like yourself that are interested in coming, that would be amazing.
Will do.
Oh my god.
If you could send me over your scope of work, that would probably be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we'll follow up. I'll send you, like I said, an email will come your way within the next couple of weeks with links. But I'll put then another email with some working links on stuff we've done, so that you have that too.
Perfect. Well, I'm gonna skedaddle to my next meeting because we did run over. I had a meeting. I have a
Yeah, we
meeting.
did. Thank you so much.
No worries. Have a good
All right,
day.
Cherise, thank you very much for being here. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye.